Okay, we might be getting some sound now. I apologize, guys. I'm just trying to get my sound right. Hang on for a second. Let me see if this comes through okay. Let me see. Turn it down a little more. Okay, that might be it right there. Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Talk Williams, host and creator Hip Hop 50th. Yeah, I know it's dark, right? I'm down here at the bottom of the screen. You guys don't need to see me no way, so that really doesn't matter. But I will say that, hang on for a second. That music that you hear playing in the background, I'm a little pumped up about it because they say it's mine. Yeah, that's what they say. They say that music's mine. Yeah, it's like some cool contemporary jazz. But anyway, we're going to get right to it, man. I know it's dark. I'm going to make myself lighter. But Stephen A. Smith, man. Stephen A. Smith, man. He's setting the record straight when it comes to Jasmine Crockett and the Naysayers. That's right, guys. Stephen A. Smith is saying that, well, he's going to set the record straight. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to shut up. And his position is there was no disrespect from him. And some of the namesayers that he might call out a name, and that's why I put their images on the thumbnail here. He says he has love for him, he has respect for him, but and he goes into it. He does. But I'm gonna go right to this one part here where I think he's making the point when it definitely comes to his saying or what he was trying to say or what he did say or what he meant or the message that he was delivering when it comes to Jasmine Crockett. Okay, so I'm gonna go right and start there, and then I'll go back and start it from the beginning. But I think it's just worthy of hearing because that was the part that kind of jumped out at me first. Let me just say that jumped out at me first. Let me turn this music down though. Okay, I turned it down. Yeah, so let me go ahead and play this part. This is Stephen A. Smith. He actually did like it says. I mean, he's not shy. He says it. Stephen A. responds to critics on his Jasmine Crockett commentary. I'm just titling it Stephen A. sets the record straight because there's several part of this video where he talks about Jasmine Crockett and he talks about her right and her privilege and, no problem, go ahead and do what you do. But then he introduces some different realities that we all must face at times. And I guess it's like I had conversations with people and I let them know, you got right and wrong, you got fair and unfair, but things are never as binary as we want them to be. And what I mean by binary, I just mean on and off. We don't live in the on and off. It's all of this or it's none of this. It's just not that way. So let's listen to Stephen A. right here, and then I'm going to back it up. But he was making a point about what his message was. So this is response. This is his response after 2 or 3 days ago when he initially was speaking about Jasmine Crockett. But here it is.
We know you're a Democrat. We know how disgusting and vile you find the president to be. You've told us on more than one occasion, according to Congress, had big plans, 50,000 constituents.
Here we go.
Balance for her was cultivating relationships in Congress. And what does that mean? Potentially going across the aisle when you don't want to. Potentially going across the aisle, okay, when it might be in the best interest of the 750,000 constituents you represent. We know you're a Democrat. We know how disgusting and vile you find the president to be. You've told us on more than one occasion. What I was saying was, where's that going to get you when you're so willing and so apt to verbalize it the way that you choose to verbalize it? How is that going to be productive to your constituents? You have every right to feel the way that you feel about them. You have every right to do everything that you can to vote him out of office, or in his case, the people that are under him, the J.D. Vances of the world, a Marco Rubio of the world, a Pam Bondi, a Kash Patel, and others. You have every right. You should be doing everything you can to win the midterm. But what I'm saying is, where is her rhetoric going to get her and the people she represents in the 30th Congressional District in Texas? What am I talking about? To my producers, could y'all play the clip when she's talking about the president as an enemy of the United States? Could you play that, please?
Your reaction to his appointment?
He needs to go. I mean, this is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. Here is the problem.
Of course, Congresswoman, to interrupt you, but President Trump, of course, has denied any allegations to white supremacists, and that's why he apparently fired what he is. I know your point, but he did fire Darren Beatty in reaction, they believe, in part to his attendance at that conference. Does that change your opinion in any way?
No, it doesn't change my opinion.
So that's the first clip. There's a president of the United States that you're calling a white supremacist, and you're saying that the people who work under him are that as well. While you're in the government needing assistance from that administration to get things done for your constituency and beyond. Okay, that's clip number one. Play clip number two, please. A full-fledged criminal. Play that, please.
Not our democracy. Well, he did say he'd be a dictator on day one. Oh, Democrats, you know, it's just Trump. He just talks. Well, let me tell you something. He is doing more than talking. We talked about Project 2025. We talked about the consolidation of power. We talked about how he wanted to be a king. We talked about in a democratic republic, that is not what it is. We have some sort of checks and balances, and he is doing everything that he can to get rid of those checks and balances. The DOJ and the people that he's going after were simply doing their jobs. The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States, and then they want to act aghast when he does criminal things. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States, and if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States, because right now he has only been successful in being a divider in chief.
So you care about facts, meaning the Democrats and the Republicans don't. Okay. That's another clip. And by the way, full-fledged criminal and thug. Those were words. How about this one? where she called the president a piece of shit. Play it.
Because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes, yes. He is. He is. He is.
Donald Trump is a piece of shit. That's what she said. That's the third one. There's another one here where she's talking about how the GOP doesn't care about facts, but the Democrats do. You just heard that. There was also another one where she called them again a white supremacist. But it didn't just stop there. She went to her own governor of the state of Texas, who's in a wheelchair, by the way. Keep that in mind. And listen to what she said about him.
We in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Governor Hot Wheels. And the only thing that is hot about him is that he's a hot-ass mess. And that's going to serve 750,000 constituency in the 30th District of Texas. That is what I was saying. Never mind what she feels. Never mind whatever level of justification you may have towards feeling the way that you feel. When you're in her position, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's what I was saying. What I was saying was this educated, brilliant black woman representing over 750,000 people is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you're in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you're at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill and that's going to work for you? You literally have senators and congressional figures on Capitol Hill on the side of the Republicans telling the networks, whether it's Fox News, News Nation, or anybody else, please, please, please put her front and center on camera.
So let me just jump in for a second here. I know y'all hot on Stephen A's ass. I understand that. I get it. That's your position. That's the way you see it. I understand that. I get it. But here's my question to you. I understand a lot of people, a lot of us, we deal with stuff and we deal with things that we don't want to. We deal with a lot of things because we have to. You know, this idea that you can take one position and just hold it down because that's your belief in a strong, absolute way, as if you're in a vacuum and you don't have to answer to nobody or anyone else. There's no ramification. It's simply not true. I'm not saying that Stephen A. Smith is right. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, according to what he's saying, what his messaging is, his thing is, look, you don't see who running shit. You don't see who in charge. Now, when we're speaking from platforms where we're good with who controls the platform we're on, there's a lot of things we can say. Like y'all right here in the chat, right? You could tell me, shut the hell up. You can say anything you want about Stephen A. Smith. You could talk about the president. You could just go on and on. Why? Because what is the cost? What is the ramifications of going on and on about anything in this chat? Literally none. I can block you. I can put you in timeout. Stephen A. Smith probably never sees it. He never hears it. So it's nothing. It's little or nothing. But I bet a lot of us in this chat got clients we can't stand, bosses we detest, even family members through DNA that we don't even like seeing at Thanksgiving, and we ain't never given them a Christmas present. So this idea that you take an absolute stand no matter what, like Stephen A. Smith was saying, if you trying to win, if the objective is to win, you got to do what you got to do to get in that position, so you ain't got to do that no more. If you live anywhere in America, I don't care what your race is, you probably are dealing with other races of people, other genders of people, other lifestyles of people, other heights of people, other faces of people, other weights of people that you can't even stand. But you do it because you want that coffee. You do it because you want that gas. You do it because you got a fucking job. So if everybody wants Stephen A. Smith to go in on President Trump and just go mayhem, crash out on the position with no regard to all that $100 million contract he got with ESPN and Disney, no regard to his setup on XM Radio, no regard to the stuff he got coming in the future, you done lost your fucking mind. You done lost your damn mind. Would you do it for your job where you at? Would you do it for your relationship that you in? No, you wouldn't do it. Everybody got brother-in-laws and even mother-in-laws they can't fucking stand. So this idea that if you don't like it and if this is your position, you speak out and attack it too. That's just not a strategy. It's like me. A lot of shit I pop on YouTube, my only concern is Google. I don't pop that shit to my client. I don't pop that shit to my boss at a job. I don't pop that shit to my daughter. I don't pop that shit to the people who rent me my apartment, even though I can't stand their fucking ass. I don't do it. You have to have some sensibilities about how to deal with people and things and positions and places until you can get over there. Let's go back to the beginning of this, though. I know everybody a gangster and everybody a die-hard, I'm on this side, and everybody is. And half of the people y'all say y'all don't like, and half of the people y'all say y'all wouldn't do something for, if you see them in the street, you'll ask them for a fucking picture and a goddamn well, people don't do autographs no more. You ask them for a picture and you tell them one of your family members, oh, my grandmother loved you and my husband, my wife, and all that. You know. Yeah. It's easy to sit behind these mics on any podcast, on any YouTube channel, and take a definitive, absolute, vacuum-like position on anything in life. Why? Because the ramifications and consequences of where you are might not be political. So you can throw the fucking grenade. Where you are, you're not dealing with that type of environment for your potential earnings. You're not putting your livelihood in jeopardy, or your wife's livelihood in jeopardy, or your kids' livelihood in jeopardy, or that fucking $250,000 or $400,000 house you just signed for with your wife, and you around here popping that shit about, I don't fuck with him, fuck him, we doing this. Go ahead and try that shit. Nah, keep it in and do it in the chat. Because if you try that shit tomorrow morning, when all the businesses is open and you got to see your clients and you got to deal with people, your fucking ass will be fired, unemployed, or in jail or getting sued. But if you got a YouTube channel, if you got a podcast, if you got a microphone, and the platform is okay with you doing it, of course you sound like Mr. fucking Thunder. Mr. I ain't going for it. I go hard in the paint when it comes to anything. After you find out it don't violate YouTube's terms of service, Facebook's terms of service, Instagram terms of service. We all gangsters then, especially if that's what we're doing to eat. That's why people be killing me when they go hard in the paint like Waka Flocka on here because you already know the terms of service. Do that shit out in the real world. Well, let's see what he say.
But how Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. And her verbiage and all of that stuff speaks for itself. And she has become, a big-time public figure in essence, not just as a representative, but speaking out on a plethora of issues involving the current administration and the White House, et cetera, et cetera. And I made some noise last week because I had the temerity, the unmitigated gall, to say this about Representative Crockett when talking about the state of our politics in the midst of a government shutdown, by the way, that has unfolded since October 1st. Take a listen to what I had to say last week, please. You Jasmine Crockett or somebody like that. Ladies, I respect. Intelligent women, no doubt. But how Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. Because like Joe Manchin said, he's there to represent, or was there for 15 years to represent, the people of West Virginia. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas. I don't know, maybe that just sounds ignorant because it's so simple. But it ain't that damn complicated. We make it complicated. Damn, it's frustrating. It really can be. And all the verbiage and all the nonsense that I've heard over the last few days is why it can get exhausting. Because nothing frustrates me more than when people have the truth at their disposal and they choose, maybe not lie, maybe not even embellish, but allow their emotions to usurp facts and all of a sudden want to use that as an excuse to label me as being something and doing something I'm neither not nor have I done, which in this case is disrespecting Representative Crockett out of Texas, who, by the way, has had an invite to this show for weeks, by the way. Governors Josh Shapiro and Spencer Cox came on this show. Senator Lindsey Graham came on this show. Joe Manchin, now retired, came on this show. Bill O'Reilly, Bill Maher came on this show, okay? And more are coming. And she has an invite. And AOC has an invite. Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic House Leader, he just was on this show. I've invited Jasmine Crockett. I have nothing but respect for her. I just disagree on what she's making headlines for because I think it's counterproductive to the ultimate goal. But yet, here we are, and the word disrespect comes in, and people try to engage with words, like disrespect and implying misogyny and all of this other nonsense. Stop it. Stop it. Can we be grown-ups and deal with what the real issue is involving what I said? Willie D, Roland Martin, Bakari Sellers, and Angela Rye, who I have profound respect for. I mean, the list goes on and on with all of these people. I don't have their names in front of me. To my producer that texted it to me, I don't have my phone on me right now, so I apologize for not having those names in front of me. But what are we talking about? How's it disrespectful to say what I said? Could you just disagree? Could we just say, yo, Stephen A., I disagree with you. Here's why. We got Willie D. Put up that quote, please. He's putting out quotes or texts or tweets about me. Let's see that again. Stephen A. Smith taking shots at Jasmine Crockett ain't just messy, it's weak. Dude is sitting on one of the biggest mics in America, and instead of using it to uplift, he's tearing down a black woman who's out here putting in real work. That ain't critique, that's betrayal. Jasmine Crockett ain't the problem. She's the kind of woman who walks into rooms full of snakes and makes the snakes flinch. Meanwhile, Stephen's showing what happens when the paycheck gets louder than the principal. That's sucker shit, straight up, end quote. Wow, Willie D. You sure are uplifting. I mean, I got to be touched. That was inspirational. Really, that really, really was. That was inspirational. I'm doing sucker shit. That's what you call inspirational? That's what you call uplifting? Really? Now, I haven't heard everything that Roland Martin said, D.L. Hughley had to say, and all the other names that I mentioned, but I'm sure it's along the same lines. None but respect. First of all, I'm going to be very, very careful about anything that I say about Roland Martin because he's a friend. I'm going to be careful about anything that I say about D.L. Hughley because I have respect for that man. We've spoken a few months ago. I got nothing but love for him. I am concerned about him not making people laugh and smile as much anymore as he used to because he's more of an activist now than a comedian, but that's a choice and that's his right, and nothing but love for him and respect. And anybody else, too. My issue with Bakari Sellers is how he talked about me without ever speaking out or reaching out because you don't like a position that I took before or whatever, but you want to come on and sell your book after. See, I don't play that nonsense. I don't like that. Disagree with what I said. Say why without all the other nonsense. Got nothing but respect. Willie D got over 1 million subscribers. Man, props to you. Doing your thing, wishing you nothing but the best. Not getting into all that nonsense. But let's deal with what I was saying, please. Can we do that? Can we be real? So let's take it. Let's take it back. Let's look at the resume of Jasmine Crockett. 30th Congressional District. By the way, the two senators that represent Texas is Senator John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, both Republicans. I'm so surprised. Okay? So you got them in Texas, and they're doing their thing, right? What are we talking about here in terms of Jasmine Crockett's district? 750,000 North Texans. Texas's 30th Congressional District, vibrant community in the heart of Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That's the area she represents as a congressional representative. Earned her BA in Business Administration from Rhodes College and her JD from the University of Houston. She's licensed to practice law in Texas, Arkansas, and the federal courts. So this is an accomplished, well-educated woman. Ain't nothing about her stupid. Ain't nothing about her something to dismiss or disrespect when it comes to her resume. Let's get that out of the way so as to make sure I'm not being disrespectful when we're talking about her, okay? What's her reputation? Crockett's performance in the House, according to research, and her success in delivering wins for her district is quote-unquote mixed. She's active, ambitious, and visible. exceptional when it comes to fundraising. But many of her major efforts are still works in progress, bills stuck in committees, introduced but have stalled, etc., according to Congress.gov. I'm just reading. She faced similar difficulties as a state rep. The Texas legislature's sole black freshman had big plans for her first session. She ended up mostly playing defense, according to them. And what the implication was is that while she's great at fundraising, the challenge for her was cultivating relationships in Congress. And what does that mean? Potentially going across the aisle when you don't want to. Potentially going across the aisle, okay, when it might be in the best interest of the 750,000 constituents you represent. We know you're a Democrat. We know how disgusting and vile you find the president to be. You've told us on more than one occasion. What I was saying was, where's that going to get you when you're so willing and so apt to verbalize it the way that you choose to verbalize it? How is that going to be productive to your constituents? You have every right to feel the way that you feel about him. You have every right to do everything that you can to vote him out of office, or in his case, the people that are under him, the J.D. Vances of the world, a Marco Rubio of the world, a Pam Bondi, a Kash Patel, and others. You have every right. You should be doing everything you can to win the midterm. But what I'm saying is, where is her rhetoric going to get her and the people she represents in the 30th Congressional District in Texas? What am I talking about? To my producers, could y'all play the clip when she's talking about the president as an enemy of the United States? Could you play that, please?
Your reaction to his appointment?
He needs to go. I mean, this is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. Here is the problem.
Of course, Congresswoman, to interrupt you, but President Trump, of course, has denied any allegations of white supremacists, and that's why he apparently fired what he is. I know your point, but he did fire Darren Beatty in reaction, they believe, in part to his attendance at that conference. Does that change your opinion in any way?
No, it doesn't change my opinion.
So that's the first clip. There's a president of the United States that you're calling a white supremacist, and you're saying that the people who work under him are that as well. While you're in the government needing assistance from that administration to get things done for your constituency and beyond. Okay, that's clip number one. Play clip number two, please. A full-fledged criminal. Play that, please.
Not our democracy. Well, he did say he'd be a dictator on day one. Oh, Democrats, you know, it's just Trump. He just talks. Well, let me tell you something. He is doing more than talking. We talked about Project 2025. We talked about the consolidation of power. We talked about how he wanted to be a king. We talked about in a democratic republic, that is not what it is. We have some sort of checks and balances, and he is doing everything that he can to get rid of those checks and balances. The DOJ and the people that he's going after were simply doing their jobs. The problem is that Americans thought that it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him the president of the United States, and then they want to act aghast when he does criminal things. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States, and if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States, because right now he has only been successful in being a divider in chief.
So you care about facts, meaning the Democrats and the Republicans don't. Okay. That's another clip. And by the way, full-fledged criminal and thug. Those were words. How about this one, where she called the president a piece of shit? Play it.
Because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes, yes. He is. He is. He is.
Donald Trump is a piece of shit. That's what she said. That's the third one. There's another one here where she's talking about how the GOP doesn't care about facts, but the Democrats do. You just heard that. There was also another one where she called them again a white supremacist. But it didn't just stop there. She went to her own governor of the state of Texas, who's in a wheelchair, by the way. Keep that in mind. And listen to what she said about him.
We in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Governor Hot Wheels. And the only thing that is hot about him is that he's a hot-ass mess. And that's going to serve 750,000 constituency in the 30th District of Texas. That is what I was saying. Never mind what she feels. Never mind whatever level of justification you may have towards feeling the way that you feel. When you're in her position, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's what I was saying. What I was saying was this educated, brilliant black woman representing over 750,000 people is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you're in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you're at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill and that's going to work for you? You literally have senators and congressional figures on Capitol Hill on the side of the Republicans telling the networks, whether it's Fox News, News Nation, or anybody else, please, please, please put her front and center on camera. Why would they do that? Because they know it wins for them. And what I was saying was, I appreciate her passion, her intellect, the fact that her heart and her willingness to be courageous and all of those things are in the right place. But my God, isn't it about winning too? Ain't it about getting it done? How about positioning yourself, since Jasmine Crockett was on the record stating that we got to keep our eyes on the federal courts because the conservative federal courts are putting forth rules and regulations, policies, and and judicial things that serve to benefit one side of our country, but not necessarily all sides. Well, wouldn't that mean that you'd want to become a judge? You are a lawyer by trade. You are licensed to practice law in Texas, Arkansas, and the federal courts. Wouldn't you be somebody that we'd want on the courts, or at least on committees, having a strong arm towards dictating who ends up on the courts? Not just the Supreme Court, but federal courts throughout this country? Because that's what senators do, right? Wouldn't you want to position yourself to be able to beat a Ted Cruz or a Senator Cornyn? I'm talking about winning. I'm talking about winning. And listen, I voted for Kamala Harris. And I voted for her because I said, even though I wasn't fond of her as a candidate, I certainly thought that she would be more willing to work across the aisle and work with more congressional and Senate representatives than he would. I certainly felt like we wouldn't be hearing words like authoritarianism and dictators and stuff like that. I knew that. So I get where you're coming from. But when you talk about we're honest, they're not. Were you honest when you chose Hillary? and you shoved aside Bernie Sanders as a party? Were you honest when you chose Biden and you shoved aside everybody else because it was his turn? Were you honest when you bypassed a primary and made sure to ensure that Kamala Harris was the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States when all of you knew, all of you knew that Biden was finished. You knew he had no business staying in the presidency. You knew that you could have influenced things in a way that would have forced him out. We would have had a primary, and the best candidate for the job would have been running against Trump this past, last November. You knew that. But like 2016, like 2020, as was the case in 2024, and unlike the Republicans, the conservatives, the elite chose our candidate. The people were bypassed on the Democratic side of the aisle. You circumvented your way as a party around the election process, and you have the audacity to talk about how others are a threat to democracy? Where's the consistency? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that the Democratic Party hasn't catered to elites every bit as much as they've accused Republicans of doing all of these years over the last 3 elections. Tell me that they said we listening to the people and we not just doing what we want to do because we're the one that's control the party and we'll manipulate them. Tell me that they haven't gotten folks, not specifically y'all, but folks like y'all, to sit up there and label anybody like me or others who would dare question the establishment and how things go down and say, yo, he a sellout. Yo, he don't care. What's up, Willie D? What's up? We want to talk policy? I didn't call you a name. I didn't disrespect you. I didn't diminish you, your intellect, your soul, your heart, your conscience, and whether or not it was in the right place. I'm just talking facts, bro. You in your 50s too, if not older. You're a grown-ass man. What's up? That's it? That's what you got? He's being disrespectful? How am I disrespectful? If Jasmine Crockett was in my face right now, I would thank her for her service to our country, but I would ask her respectfully, how do you think that's going to work? Is that going to win the midterms? You know how they manipulate stuff. You know how they take sound bites. You know how they can make anybody look if you say the wrong things, particularly when you're an elected official. If you're coming across as belligerent, undisciplined, and a loose cannon, how do you then get to say what Trump is? Or the people under him when they're acting belligerent? Tamika Mallory, respectful woman, black activist, supporter of Black Lives Matter movement, along with various other things, highly intelligent, incredibly accomplished. I've heard so many wonderful things about this sister. I've read up on her a little bit, nothing but profound admiration. And then I see this. Black men, I have a question. I see a lot of great commentary from many of you on Stephen A. Smith's ignorant statements time and time again. This time, he disrespected a powerful black woman who's putting her life in danger, fighting for us. At what point will you all lead the charge to turn him off? Go ahead and turn me off, ma'am. It's no longer a difference of opinion. Stephen A. Smith's actions are intentional, and in this climate especially, it's dangerous. Just wondering if you all plan to do him like you did the NFL about Colin. Or are we still watching his commentary on Wake Up? We protect Jasmine for us, period, end quote. So, Tamika, don't recall ever meeting you. Never a conversation. You want me canceled because I asked a question? Jasmine Crockett, how is that going to work for you and your constituency? You are a black woman who is speaking your mind. I spoke my mind about whether or not that strategy is going to work for her and going to work for the Democrats in pursuit of regaining power during the midterm elections and hopefully the presidency in 2028, because I'm not a Republican and I don't have a desire to vote for any of the Republican candidates that I see. And because of that, you want me canceled? You want to rally folks up to go against me? Let's get it on a micro scale. I'm a black man that's not doing for black people. How about the black people I employ? How about what I do with HBCUs? How about what I do within the walls of ESPN? How about the brothers and sisters that I've helped in this industry? All of that gets shoved aside and dismissed because I asked Representative Crockett, how's that going to work for you? Really? It's highly, highly, highly intelligent and accomplished, as you are. That's all that it takes for you to go against everything that has helped make us what we are, that helped get what were we saying? Whether it's civil rights movement, pre-civil rights movement, post-civil rights movement, it's about having a voice and a connection. It's about having a microphone that resonates. It's about provoking dialogue and introspection. I have this show. You're welcomed on it. Jasmine Crockett's welcomed on it. Roland Martin has been on several times. Angela Rye's welcome on it. D.L. Hughley's welcome on it. Everybody doesn't have a platform. Most people who have a platform don't bring people on who disagree with them. I invite it all the time. But because I have an opinion about what's going to work and what's not, that's what we doing. When you look at the platforms that I have available to me, have you noticed how many black folks, how many women are suddenly on these platforms over the years compared to what it was before I arrived? Look at the names in power at ESPN, at Disney, at SiriusXM, even at Simon & Schuster. My book at Simon & Schuster was published through Imprint 13A. Mr. Charles Sue, a black man who is one of the most influential voices in all of publishing. I am quite sure that black people who have worked with me, who have worked for me, who have worked under me, whatever, my bosses, I'm quite sure they don't all agree with every opinion that I say. But they still hired me. And the people that I employ, I still hire them because it's not a requirement that somebody agrees with me in order for me to be allowed over the airwaves. Do you have any idea what you've implied by putting out that tweet? By mere gesture that, Jasmine Crockett, I don't think that's the way to go. If you want to get the most for your constituency, I don't think that's the plan. You have any idea, Ms. Mallory, respectfully, what that implies? A Roland Martin, a Willie D, all of y'all, that might coincide with that kind of thinking. You have any idea? Never in a million years would I even think to advocate for your cancellation just because I may disagree with you. I would never do that. Never, not in a million years. If I had the power with the executives that I know at various networks, if I had the power to get rid of any of y'all, because your policies, your ideology, or your opinion about a particular subject or a particular individual differ from mine, I would never, ever in a million years do that to you. I wouldn't do that to anybody. But somehow, some way, that's the world we're living in. And this is why I despise not any individual, but the politicians on Capitol Hill, what they collectively as a body have done to our nation. They feed division. They feed this kind of nonsense where they instigate stuff and then they turn around and they leave it to us to scratch and claw and fight amongst ourselves so we get to ignore focusing on their efforts or lack thereof when it comes to the real issues that affect us as American citizens and especially as Black people. We got a government shutdown here. 750,000 people plus have been furloughed or fired. What are the Democrats asking for right now when it comes to specifically what they want and what they're looking for? They want the government reopened. They want to extend the Affordable Care Act premium subsidies. They want to make sure to restore or reverse certain cuts and restrictions from the big, beautiful bill. Is any of that getting done? I got a dude in the White House that adversaries say has no code of ethics, has no moral compass whatsoever. All he is about is something being in it for himself. That's what critics say. All I said in return is, well, then that should be easy to figure out what you can get from him. Because since the Republicans have the House and the Senate and the federal courts and the White House, there's nothing you can do other than figure out a way. I don't like this man, but I'm a Democrat, and I know that it's understood that I'm going to politic against him. However, in the meantime, I got 750,000 constituents to represent. Let me figure out a way to maneuver through this terrain to make sure we can get what we can for my peoples. As a product of an HBCU, as an ambassador for HBCU Week, why don't you take a moment to ask yourself how just in September, the president suddenly decided that over $500 million or approximately $500 million was going to be taken from predominantly white institutions and transferred over to HBCUs. I'm not saying I had anything to do with it, but I did speak to him about it. Check out the clips from News Nation from months ago. And suddenly it happened. I didn't vote for him. I don't like the way he acts. I don't like how he seems to be stripping back or scaling back access to Black history, the Smithsonian Museum and other things. Don't get me started. Blaming Black folks for DEI. But I also didn't like the fact that Black folks were gravitating to DEI like that's what qualified us. DEI benefited white women more than it benefited Black people. That's the truth. Our intestinal resolve, our skill set, what we bring to the table. Hell with DEI. We'll find another way. We always do. What I'm talking about is avoiding being so transparent that everybody sees you coming and knowing how to derail you before you even gain momentum. That's all I was talking about, Miss Mallory. That's all I was talking about, Roland Martin, Willie D. That's what I was talking about. And I shouldn't say Roland Martin because I really didn't see what he had to say about me, but it doesn't matter. I got love for the brother. I don't care. I'm always have love for him. It's just that simple. D.L. Hughley, the same thing. Those two brothers I've communicated with throughout the years. Not that much, but I got love for them. But I'm not y'all. And the one thing that will never happen, I will never succumb to, I will never surrender to, is somebody intimidating and trying to rally folks against me to quell what I have to say. Bump that. I ain't built that way. Facts are facts. JASMINE CROCKETT is a representative out of Texas who I believe's heart's in the right place is incredibly passionate, definitely intelligent, with a damn good resume. All I'm saying is that at some point in time when you want to get things done, you got to walk across the aisle and deal with people that you don't want to deal with. I've been in this business for over 30 years. There is a level of success that I have been blessed and fortunate by God to achieve. There is no doubt that I have encountered people that I believe are racist as hell, or no good, or certainly didn't have our community's interests at heart in any way. And somehow, some way, you have to work with them. You have to work for them sometimes. You have to deal with them. Even here on YouTube, do you know something? If you speak the way that Jasmine Crockett has spoken, sometimes that stuff gets flagged. It doesn't even get disseminated. This notion that you can do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, to whomever you damn well please, while still having your hand out for other people's assistance, is not how things get done. Y'all are talking about and alluding to being real and authentic. I'm talking about something more than that. Winning. Gonna win the midterms? You're gonna win the presidency? Are you gonna get power and relevancy back in our United States government? Because you see, that's what Hakeem Jeffries has to deal with. That's what Chuck Schumer has to deal with. That's what Nancy Pelosi has to deal with. That's what an abundance of Democrats have to deal with. Obama's out of office. He still has to deal with that. Everybody has their thoughts and opinions, and I get that. But to call for a rally for me to be canceled, that's shameful. It's immature. Bad news. Not only do I have the platform that I have more coming. I'm just not at liberty to talk about it right now. I'm not going away. I'm expanding. And you know what the sad part about this is? When I have a platform and the desk is bigger, it's because I'm going to have people right on this desk with me. Some of them are going to be Republicans. Some of them are going to be independents. Some of them are going to be Democrats. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to point them in the direction of a Tamika Mallory, of a Roland Martin, of a D.L. Hughley, of a Willie D., of a host of folks representing that side of the aisle, showing a level of respect far exceeding the respect you were willing to accord me. And why would I do that? It's very simple. Because it's bigger than me. It's not about me. It's about getting things done and making sure that voices that need to be heard and issues that need to be addressed happen instead of being petty because you didn't like what somebody said and misconstruing and redefining what they said and labeling it as disrespect and trying to come across as if it were misogynistic.
Hey guys, I want to say thank you to everybody that stopped through. I want to thank everybody that had something to say, that left a message, especially the group of y'all, a couple dozen of y'all that left several messages. like I said, I listened to this earlier today, a couple hours ago, and I just thought Stephen A. Smith was setting the record straight from what he says. Here's what I do know, and I don't want to deviate or distract or deflect away from this subject, the focus here about all of the pushback and a lot of people with large microphones and influence and voices through the internet on YouTube or whatever, and politics or whatever, saying that Stephen A. Smith disrespected Jasmine Crockett, okay? One of the things that I am noticing is, and there's some truth to what Willie D says, Stephen A. Smith has one of the biggest mics on the platform, or he's definitely, that's his trajectory, right? And people come at Stephen A. Smith. They do. Some people already don't like him. They don't like him, right? This doesn't excuse who he is, what he does, if you don't agree with his strategy. But I'm just saying, the venom, and I'm going to come at you, and I'm going to push back, and I'm going to critique, and I'm going to chop that up, and I'm going to some level of discernment is stronger, is higher when you're the guy. Stephen A. Smith, think what you want about him. He's the guy. Now, some people say not deservingly so. I don't know how you say that. He's been in the game 30 years, doing it from the streets of Philly when Allen Iverson was out there, and Allen Iverson was just on his platform the other day acknowledging like a lot, if not all of that. Now, not in the politics. It seems like he's going into the direction of politics. I'm not saying he doesn't know, he knows what he's doing or not. What I am saying to him is, or what I am noticing is, the more given, the more we're responsible for. What's that saying in the Bible? The more given, the more accountable. The more given, the more demanded. The more given. You guys know it, right? And it's the truth. Because if Stephen A. Smith wasn't who he was, people wouldn't come at him. If he wasn't in the position that he was, they just would not come at him. Now, this idea about he's not going to be a politician, he is going to be a politician, he doesn't know about politics or whatever, there is some sign here or some sense of whether he's going in that direction or not. But Stephen A. Smith is 50-some years old. He's lived a couple generations. Politics, whether he gets into it or not, this is not his first time understanding what it is. He's lived it. He's experienced it. He's either benefited or suffered from some of the laws, some of the policies, different things like that, as all of us have, okay? So it's tough. But I will say this about Jasmine Crockett. To me, I think she's a beautiful, intelligent black woman. A beautiful, intelligent black woman. That's what I think about Jasmine Crockett. I will not claim for 5 seconds that I know the strategy. I don't know if that's the strategy or not. I don't know if she's just out there or not. I don't know. Here's what I do know. If I got a boss I don't like, I'm still going to be professional. I'm not going to be calling them, it's just certain things. I mean, you think Jasmine Crockett is right for what she's doing and telling the truth. Imagine if we woke up tomorrow morning and just start telling the truth. Just started telling the truth. You know damn well your best friend don't look good in that dress. You know damn well your homeboy need his fucking teeth fixed. Start telling the truth. Yeah. Them same demands. Start telling the truth. You feel like you smarter than your boss. Tell your boss. Start telling the truth. It's not that way, and you know it's not that way. We can demand that others do it. Sure we can. At the expense of them doing it. But when we have to do it, it's a whole different situation. I'm not saying that that's what this is about. But I don't know how you get people that you need, that you don't have on your team, that you just need to help you. And you're sitting up there saying whites are racist, which they are. Whites are this, which they are. Like you're telling the truth. But the truth ain't necessarily the best technique or strategy to get to where you're going. The truth isn't necessarily the thing that's going to bring on unity. The truth is not necessarily the thing that's going to get somebody from the other side to sign your policy or vote. I don't know how that works. We've all worked for people. We're related to people. I got people that I don't even care if they come to my funeral, and we're related through DNA. But that DNA wasn't my choice, because if it was, I wouldn't have picked them. But anyway, thanks for stopping through, guys. All of us have the benefit of it. But I respect Stephen A. Smith, and I just thought that he was taking that opportunity, or this opportunity with what he said, to set the record straight about his non-disrespect. I think that's what he was doing. How can you speak passionate? How can you do those things? And I don't know. I think it's tough. I think it's tough because everything everybody was saying is always included. There's always a political position. There's always that passion too. There's always that reflection. There's so many things involved. Like me talking, right? Like right now, right? It's like I feel like I don't have much to worry about, because as long as YouTube or Google agrees with what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, those are the terms of services. I'm not worried about people in the chat saying, I'm going to unsubscribe to your channel. I'll never subscribe to your channel. I'll never come back. That doesn't mean a lot to me. Why? Because there's 6 million other people in the world, so it doesn't take a lot to get 500 people or 80 people to listen to you on live. There's like little or no effort. But if I've worked with you guys and we were related and we lived in the same community, but we're of different races, we probably say things that we don't say to each other. We probably do. That's the way it is. We probably hear from other people in our family, in our communities, and places and faces that look like us to say, why you mess with him like that? Why you sign a partnership and do a contract with him? And then it might hurt you, or you might find it funny, but then you have to tell your family member or your friend, you don't know how to do this work. You didn't finish school. You don't have the training. You don't have the experience. So I had to partner with them. I don't love them, but I'm not going to sit there and call them people out their name, and I'm not going to sit there and allow them to call me out my name. This is the thing. We can't do it. Anyway. I just, Stephen A. Smith has a luxury, while at the same time he has boss. When you listen to different podcasts, right? Let me ask you guys, when you listen to different podcasts, different YouTube channels or whatever like that, you ever hear these guys popping off? You ever hear them? They be like, look, I do what I want on my channel. This is my fucking channel. Don't nobody run me. I'm my own boss. They lying. They fucking lying. First of all, they lying. Let's understand they lying. Because it's your channel, but it's not your platform. So the only thing you saying is above and beyond and above the policies and terms of services of the platform you on. Then you can be slick as you want with your fucking tongue. But this idea that I don't care what I say, what I do, I can do what I want, I'm my own boss. Again, you're lying, first of all, because it ain't true. There's not a platform out. And I know everybody sounds slick with it. It's the slickest thing. This is my channel. I do what I want. I have who I want on here. I say what I want. First of all, you're lying. I remember I was growing up as a shorty. I was a kid, And I didn't listen. They put me out of school. And then my mother put me out. So I had to go live with my sister because my sister had her own apartment. She was the first one to leave the crib. She was the oldest. She had her own apartment. She had a kid. She let me stay there. She had like 4 or 5 boxes of cereal up top on the refrigerator. And she went to, she would go to school and go to work. During the day, I would watch my nephews. She came home one day. She says, who opened up the Frosty Flakes or the Lucky Charms or some shit? I said, I did. She said, why you open up the Lucky Charms and all the Cheerios not gone? That's what she said to me. I said, do you eat all the hot dogs before you eat a hamburger? She says, look, let me tell you something. When you get your own place, you can open up all the boxes of cereal you want. But in here, you don't open up a box of cereal till one gone. Why? Because she running shit. She was the president. She was in charge. So what you wanted me to do with my sister? Stand there and say, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard. It don't make no sense. And argue with her about the money she spent for boxes of cereal when I'm the one that got put out and needed shelter. You want me stand on that? You want me stand on the corner in the winter in snow and freeze to fucking death, and as you walk and ride by, you can say, man, you kept it real. Man, you was telling the truth. You out here suffering from frostbite from just being truthful. It don't work like that, man. It just don't. Anyway, guys, I'm going to shut it down, man. I'm going to say this to you, though, man. I appreciate y'all, man, because, I get it. Everybody got an opinion. I think somebody said it earlier in here. And I always tell people this because I talk to people that got this absolute position on something. It killed me when people talk like they always had wisdom. They always made good decisions. They always knew their faith. They was always the strongest Christian and Muslim. I don't care what it is. And what I say to people is keep living. And then when you get to a place that you feel like you good with your faith, your God, and you at peace, and you get to a place where you feel like you educated, you got your career, you doing your thing, do me a favor and try not to forget the struggles on your way there and when you didn't even have it. Because it's those people that forget when they didn't have, when they didn't understand, when they could not find a way. And it's those people that forget the struggles they had to go through to get to whatever successful place, economically, with their family, and real relationships, marriages, spiritually, whatever that case is. And they act like once they get there, I've been here, and that's the way they speak. And it's those people that you find empty of empathy. It's those people who speak from a podium of life, whether it be spiritually, domestically, career-wise, or whatever. And that's a weird thing. And I know that a lot of people don't do it on purpose. I think it's done because a lot of people, you do have some strange people out here. They can't wait when they make it to shame others, to look down on others. Because a lot of them are suffering from an inferiority complex when they was suffering. And then that's the way that they deal with it. It's like the big payback. But a lot of other people, though, what happens is they just want to suppress them times when they couldn't read. They want to suppress when they couldn't find a job. They want to suppress all that trauma they was going through before somebody gave them an opportunity. So when they make it, it sounds like they always been there. And I just listen to people like that. I run into them every day. I talk to them every day. They talk so absolute in their knowledge and position. No, keep living. Your position to change. The wisdom that we didn't pay attention to starts dripping in because wisdom is not spontaneous or instantaneous. It's a drip. And then we get better. All right, so now this is humor time. This is funny. Kevin says, Steve, I can't even play sports. How do you get a job talking about sports? I don't understand that. He wouldn't make a good commander and hero like Donald Trump. Okay. I'm looking at Diane Barry's. Jasmine holds her brand, and that's why we love her. I wish. Hold on. Let me pin this for a minute. I think it's Diana Barry. Jasmine holds her brand, and that's why we love her. I wish she was the next president. She keep it real, very smart and educated. That's so. I agree that she's very smart. I agree that she's intelligent. I think she's a beautiful black woman that can speak well, and I think everything that she says is intentional. I do. I think that whatever strategy that she poses with her mind and her tongue, I think she can do it intentionally and deliberately, and whatever that is for her, hopefully it'll be the success that she wants it to be. You know, that's all I can say. I don't know anything about politics. It's hard for me to criticize Jasmine Crockett for her harsh tongue, or what might sound like a harsh tongue, on the position that she has when the ruler of the world says what he does. It's tough. I don't think Jasmine Crockett can weaponize the government against anybody. I don't think Jasmine Crockett, beyond what she says, beyond the rhetoric, beyond all of that, I don't see systemic and institutional reverberations against anyone that she speaks about. I don't think that Jasmine Crockett has a list of people that it could come to fruition what she might want done to them. I just don't see that. So that's why it's hard for me to go in on Jasmine Crockett. I get what Stephen A. is saying, 100. But we know damn well when somebody is using a seat. You ever work somewhere, supervisor, manager, use the position to work closer to you, use the position to get you in their space, use the position to rub elbows with you. It's just the same shit. Same shit. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. See, it's one thing if she running her mouth. That's what everybody say. Oh, she just running her mouth. She just cursing her mouth. She just, okay. All right. You know what I don't hear anybody saying? Anybody. Guess what I don't hear? Nobody, no side saying that what she says, people become victimized. What she says gets a person arrested. What she talked about got you fired. What she says got you to give money. What she says got you selling your fucking soul. I've heard nobody from the middle, right, or left say that about anything about Jasmine Crockett. They just talk about the bark. But see, other people, yeah, other people. Other people, though. Yeah, what about that? You understand? You understand? You understand what I'm saying? See, it's one thing. That's why I used to tell my daughter when she was a kid, because me and her mother, we had broke up. And so her mother married some man, and they're there, right? And I was getting my daughter on weekends. And I used to ask my daughter when she was 9, 10 years old, even as a teenager, I said, you ever hear your mother and your stepdad fussing and fighting and whatever they do? Not physically, but, you know, the verbal stuff, right? And she says, yeah, Dad, I do. I say, you know why your mother can do that? She says, why? Because Your mother had a master's degree, and your mother already had faith in God, and your mother could already speak. She could think. So because your mother is in a position to create or take advantage of opportunities for her earnings potential, she has a voice under his house, because that was his house. If she didn't have an education, if she weren't able to create opportunities or take advantage of opportunities, if she wasn't able to think, her ideas and thoughts would be provided to her under that roof. That's what I used to tell my daughter. I used to remind her of that. And I used to tell her, it's all right to fall in love and think you can't do without somebody. But make sure you can take care of you. Because if not, you have to succumb to that. See, Jasmine Crockett is probably not too worried about being unplugged in the current position that she's in. She probably has a husband. I'm thinking she has a husband. I don't know. She has a law degree. Whatever. She'll be all right. She'll land on her feet. She can still voice herself and help her community, do politics, whatever. But see, look at some of the people. You can see their body language. You can see their cadence. They don't even want to be saying some of the stuff they saying. They don't even be, you can see their body language. It looked like high-paid hostages speaking sometime. That's what it looks like. It just does. But anyway, I want to say thank you to everybody. I want to say that. Oh, she's single? I didn't know. Okay. Shout out to Kevin. I seen him a lot. I don't know if I agree with what he say, but I know this. Kevin has some things to say. Brian T says, she hates black women. Brian T says, look, y'all, I'm a member of the third rank. Damn, Brian T. I didn't even know nobody could be called Brian and belong to any rank, especially the one spelled that way. But it's cool. Shout out to Brian T. Sharon Davis says she's a treasure to all to hold the political goons in checks. Hey, listen, Sharon Davis, somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. Let's understand that. Let's just understand that somebody got to say it. You know, somebody got to say it. Who is going to be? Is it going to be Jasmine Crockett? Stephen A. Smith again says, hey, I wasn't disrespected. Somebody got to say it. Michael Williams says, Crockett is giving you the game and hustle and language, then people can understand to stop voting for the people who are trying to put black people back 100 years. People mad because it's coming from a black woman. Damn. I had a conversation with some men probably during the summer. And the topic was, can you hear, any of y'all old enough like me, if y'all remember The Rock doing the wrestling, he used to be like, can you hear, or do you see, or whatever. The Rock was cooking, can you hear what The Rock is saying? And he would tweak that out. The Rock, right? Y'all probably don't know him. Anyway, is it more difficult to hear a woman when she's speaking the truth than to hear a man? That's kind of what the conversation was about. And it was with men. It was just 4 or 5 of us men. And it just came up. You know, it wasn't a thing, but it came up. It was a summer night on the south side of Chicago. And we got into it. And I was taking the position that the truth is the truth. It's just hard to hear the truth when it's coming from certain people. And I know a lot of y'all might say, I hear the truth no matter what. Sure you do. But if I was dressed up, or I met you on the street and I was dressed up like a KKK, a Ku Klux Klan, could you hear my truth? If I was dressed up like a devout Muslim in all the garb, the kufi, the beard, wearing the good smelling oil, twiddling the beads with a Quran in my hand. Could you really hear me if I said some great words about the Bible? If I was out there actually teaching a lesson about the Bible? No, it becomes difficult for whatever reason, for a number of reasons. It just is. That's why when people saying what race got to do with it, man, race always got something to do with it. Noodle Jr. said, what truth is she telling? What truth is she telling, do you think? I'm so bad, or did you mean mad? I'm going to say what you put. I'm so bad as we're concerned with Crockett and her behavior. Think about that. Problems. You know what? You just triggered me, Michael Williams. Michael Williams just triggered me. Yes, he just triggered me. I'm going to tell you why. He just triggered me. People were so concerned when President Obama was in office about how he was going to behave as a president. Yeah. People was like, I hope this black man don't embarrass us. I hope he don't have his dogs running out on the lawn eating chicken bones that were thrown out there by his security. It was crazy. I'm looking for my phone. I'm feeling around in the dark. I'm looking for my phone. It was crazy. And I can't find my phone. That's because it's dark in here. I ain't even gonna lie. Anyway, I'm going to tell you off the grip. There's a lot of things I like about what President Trump has done. Even though some of those things don't benefit me. The fact that you would do it, the audacity, I don't care how it's seen, the audacity, the courage, the willingness, all those things that people would have judged the average black person or president wrong for, President Trump did. See, if I'm black and I own a company, let's say it's an electric company, let's say I own a gas company, let's say I own a refrigerator company. Now I need some technicians. They would frown on me because they want me to hire qualified technicians. If I just go hire my family, they say, there you go with that nepotism, cronyism, favoritism, whatever the isms. But Trump said, I don't care what you think. You think I ain't going to get in this position and look out for my fucking family? You see how basic and common sense that is? Fuck this country. I'm going to look out for my family first. And then some parts of the country going to suffer. Other parts of the country going to benefit from me looking out for my family. How I'm going to be upset with that shit? Well, his family wasn't qualified. They don't know what they doing. Nah, they ain't got to know. You hire them, you give them a position, and you let them hire somebody underneath them that know what they doing and call them the assistant. That's what you do. You make your brother the director, and you let him hire a deputy director that got all that experience and paperwork and degrees. See? Trump said, I'm going to go and do this. I could just name things. It'll piss people off, but it's the truth. But see, we worried about, like Michael Williams, that's why I say he triggered me. Black people worry about behavior. Why was she dressed like that? Why would she speak like that? Nah, what is you getting done? What are we doing? That's the focus. What we doing? Kim Sim. Now, don't think for a second I wasn't going to pin Kim Sims. Don't even think like that. Jasmine actually fights for the people. She is speaking up for those who don't have a voice. The people in her district, I apologize, appreciate her for speaking up for them. Man, we can go on and on. People going to look back and realize we had it great, but no one wants to work hard and be grateful. You say F this country, get the F out. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Can I pronounce the name right? Marlon McNally Latimer. Damn, that's a dope fucking name, especially if you have to say all of it. Let me say it again. Marilyn McNally Latimer. You see, I'm like AI. I don't say it the second time the way I did the first time. It's like machine learning. But anyway, the comment says, people going to look back and realize we had it great, but no one wants to work hard and be grateful. You say F this country, get the F out. For some people. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to tell you an experience I had. And this is no disrespect. I'm like Stephen A. now. It's no disrespect, right? It's no disrespect. I was on a project some years ago. It's these Spanish guys. They was on the project. And every time I would say something or somebody I was with would say something, they would be like, in my country, in my country, in my country. And they would give examples of the beautifulness of what we was talking about in their country. So I asked them, I had to ask, why did you leave that motherfucker? And why won't you go back? If everything you saying, or everything I'm saying, and we saying in this conversation is, in my country, we, what the hell happened? Y'all don't do that shit no more? Seriously. And I'm just saying that in response, or as a segue, or no, analogous to what Marilyn McNally Latimer said, if you don't like it. In my country. People kill me with that. They so willing to tell you about their country and they escape that motherfucker. But anyway, peace. Thank y'all, man. Peace out.